By Black Podcast, episode 65. You have got to say no to somebody. Who you saying no to today? Boom, 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 da-da-da-da-da-da, boom. Welcome to By Black. It is me, it's Gerald, and I am not going to be playing our theme music today. We're not doing the intro. We're not doing the outro. We're just going to have a quick conversation about saying no. And then after that quick conversation, we're going to do a replay of one of our most popular episodes, the one that we did with Mr. Rohan on how to start $1 million online business. Yeah, we're going to be doing that. So a quick conversation about saying no. This is about to be a season of no for me, y'all. I had a realization earlier this week. It's kind of, things have been piling up on me. Things have been piling up, and things that I need to do have been getting pushed to the wayside because I'm so committed to all of these other things that I've been doing for free. And earlier this week, I went and I attended an event. And while I was at that event, I had a great idea for a new podcast. And I know that the world needs this podcast. I know that it would be great. I know that it can reach people and make a difference for people and do all of the things that a really good podcast can do. And I immediately put a call out to some of my podcasting friends and was like, hey, so we're about to do this thing. And who's going to help me out? And I had a bunch of people that were like, oh, yeah, absolutely. We are in. This is going down. I went and opened up a second podcast. I made cover art. I started planning guests and all of these things. And like 2 days after I started this, it really became clear to me that I needed to stop. Like, I needed to stop right then. Otherwise, I would get way down the line doing this podcast, and I would be even more behind and underwater than I am right now with running one podcast and co-hosting another podcast and having my full-time job and family and everything else. It was just, I said, Gerald, you have to stop. You have a lot of things that you should be doing right now, things that people need, things that will make money for you and your family, things that will put you in a position that you keep claiming that you want to be in, and that you keep helping other people put themselves into, and you won't do it for yourself because you want to help so much. You want to, whatever. I don't know what it is that I want so badly that I keep putting myself and my family last and saying yes to all of these things that will take up a whole bunch of my time, but flat out, honestly, will not put a single dollar into the bank account. And in fact, will do the exact opposite. Will cost me even more money because I want to create and build a platform for other people. So I had to look in the mirror and say, no, I'm not doing this right now. And then I had to turn around and I had to go back to Facebook, back to those friends who I just made this commitment to. And I had to say, no, I apologize. I don't need to be doing this right now. Do people need it? Yes. Would I be good at it? Yes. But is this what I need to be doing right now? Is this the thing that is going to help my family the best right now? Absolutely not. And if I get 6 months down the line doing this thing and it's a hit and people love it, now I've just built another prison. I have put myself into another box where I am committed to giving myself and my time and my energy and my money away for the betterment of other people, and at the expense of my relationship with my family and my relationship with my family's bank account. So on that same vein, I decided to take it further and take a look at the things that I'm doing right now that are also taking a lot of my time, a lot of my energy, and not putting any money into the bank account. And I needed to start cutting. And that is what I'm doing right now. I'm going into a season of no, and it started last week. There's a lot of social media engagement that I've been trying to do that I am miserable at. I'm horrible at it, and it annoys me, and I don't enjoy it, and it's not natural for me. And I said, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to try to build something up on Instagram or on Twitter. I'm not going to go and try to force myself to create all this engagement in the Facebook group. I'm probably actually going to end up shutting down that Facebook group and starting a different Facebook group with a different focus that is actually for the people who most need it, will most engage with each other in it, and who can basically run that group themselves, feeding themselves and feeding each other without me having to be there, because I cannot be there. So, saying no to that, and saying no to trying to force myself to put out a brand new episode every single week, when the show that I was supposed to do this week, it got cut off in the middle, and we never got to finish recording. So because I couldn't get back with that guest to finish recording, I wasn't going to put out a half episode. So I told myself, well, then you need to pick a topic and record an episode. And I was like, but that's not what I need to be doing right now. What I really need to be doing right now is building my $1 million online business, because it's inside of me, and I've been giving it away for a year and a half, 2 years now. Didn't realize what it was. Didn't realize what I was doing. I did. All right. So let me back up on that. I did not know how to package the value that I create and that I provide for people when they come and ask me questions, and I help them build their businesses, when I help them structure their businesses and their business ideas properly so that they can be successful, they can be profitable, and so that they don't spend all of their time running in their business, but instead can run and build on their business. I do that for people just naturally all the time. That's what I do. But I never knew how to package it and how to say, this is the value of that. And so I've just done it and given it away, all while still not doing the exact same thing for myself. But thanks to some really good friends who work with me in this coaching collective we have called The Village, they help me to look at what I do and the value that I create, and then to turn that into an actual marketable package, and to see exactly who I am when it comes to what makes me unique in the market, my competitive advantage. So through a few conversations, through some Facebook group chats, words were exchanged, things were written, and in a very short period of time, I looked and said, yes, that is it. That's exactly who I am. And I took that and I ran with it. And over the last couple of weeks, I've really been able to tie a bow around my my online business persona, for lack of a better term, and to really get my marketing message down. And it was really cool this week. So I had a lot of meetings with people this week, but it was really cool to talk to somebody. I sat down in person at a coffee shop, and I talked to a guy who had a small business, and he had another small business idea. And in a very short period of time, I was able to explain to him, hey, this is what you've just told me about where you are, and this is what I'm seeing about you. This is what I'm seeing about your current situation. There's no structure here. This is what I do. And then I went boom, 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 boom. This is, I walked down kind of the same marketing pitch, if you will, that I'm writing right now to put into a website. And in that very short time, I was able to walk through my pitch. I was able to tell him, this is where you are. This is what I can help you do. And this is how much it's going to cost. And his eyeballs lit up and he said, yes, that's exactly where I'm at. That is exactly what I'm thinking. That's exactly what I need. Yes, I want to work with you. Where can I pay you money? That was eye-opening to me, because the exact same thing I told him, the exact same thing I've been doing, that I am doing for him, I've been doing for people for literally 2 years, but I haven't been able to come on the front end and tell them, this is exactly what I'm about to do for you, and here's the value I'm going to charge you for that. And so I've just done it. And so it was so eye-opening to have the words to say, here is how this is going to help you, and this is how much it's going to cost. And to have someone's eyes light up, not because they're like, I can't believe you want me to pay for that, but because, oh my God, that's exactly what I had in my head that I needed. I want to pay you for that. It changes something. It changed something for me. And it made me see that if I really want to take my life and my family where I want them, where I want us to be, I need to take this win right here and I need to package it completely. I need to get it codified, put out onto a website. I need to start marketing it, and I need to start making money with it, because obviously the message resonates. I skipped this other part, but I talked to 2 other people with the exact same message, different businesses, and it's the same result. It's, oh my God, you're in my brain. This is exactly what I need. How much money can I pay you? So in doing that, I've spent this weekend, the entire weekend, writing my marketing copy for the website that I'm building for this. I'll tip it a little bit next week on what I'm building, because I expect that by next week I will have the website completely up, and I'll already be running Facebook ads to draw leads in to the website to actually start working with me. So I'll tip it next week, but I won't talk about the name of the website or the name of the process here on the show today. Just understand that it's pretty dope, and that's about all I'll tell you. So anyway, since I've been spending this entire weekend doing that, I made the conscious decision to say no to recording a full new episode for this week. I'm not going to leave you hanging. That's why we're doing this, and we're doing the rebroadcast of episode 41. But I feel like sometimes it's important to take a good, hard, honest look in the mirror and say, who am I saying no to right now? If you find yourself saying yes to every good idea that you have, saying yes to every request for help, saying yes to every single thing that comes in front of you that doesn't either make you money or give you back more of your time with your family, then that means that you're saying no to making more money, and you're saying no to spending more time with your family. I've made the decision now. I'm done saying no to them. I'm going to start saying no to a bunch of other things that are pulling me away from the money my family needs and my family itself. And I highly recommend that you do that too. So anyway, all of that to say, I chose to play Rohan's episode again today because his episode is entitled How to Build $1 Million Online Business. I am currently in the process of building what I know can be $1 million online business. I'm using a lot of the techniques that he talks about in this episode to vet this idea, to structure the marketing for this idea, to build the landing page for this idea, and then to go out and actually market it to people the way that Rohan talked about. So I thought it was very fitting to replay this episode. I say it to you, if you are out there right now and you are still working on a hobby and you haven't yet taken the time to structure it and turn it into an actual business and to get those dollars flowing into you, right now is the time to do it. Now is the season to say no to all of the distractions and start saying yes to getting on that track to make the money your family needs, to build the wealth, to take control of your and our economy. Because, as I've said before, if we're not actually doing that, then what are we here for? Seriously, what are we here for? So, I'm taking it seriously. You guys take it seriously. And you guys take it easy. I will catch you guys in the next episode where we'll be connecting with Jamel LeBranch, actually from episode number 19, getting an update from him on what has happened with his social media influencer marketing strategy over the last year. You guys look forward to that episode. It's going to be great. Had a real good time live talking to Jamel. So anyway, thanks for putting up with me and my ramblings. Go ahead and get this thing put together, put out to you guys, and you'll see it tomorrow morning. And then I'm getting right back to the grind because I got a lot more to write tonight. And I really want to start building that website before I hit the rack. So thanks for being out there. Thank you for your understanding. If you have something that you're working on and that you want to share, definitely reach out to me. Shoot me an email, gerald@byblackpodcast.com. We can talk about that. Otherwise, yeah, let's get into it. Let's talk to Rohan. Hey, Rohan, thanks for reaching out and thanks for joining me today.
Sure thing. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate that.
Yep, absolutely. So I don't like to run my mouth too much when I've got you, the expert, on the show. So let's just jump right into it. I'm going to hand it over to you. Just talk to the folks about your background. Tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. I was born and raised in Barbados, and I lived there until I was 18 years old, and I moved to the U.S. for college. And after college, I started working as an accountant. I did a degree in accounting, finance, and business, and I ended up working in accounting and finance for almost 10 years in Washington, D.C., and Delaware, and so on. And, after probably my first year of working as an accountant, I knew it was something that I did not want to do for the rest of my life. And I then spent what was the next 9 years or so trying to figure out how I can extract myself from a corporate job and be able to support myself and have the type of freedom that I really envisioned for myself. And that really took me to the internet because I had to find a way to start a business without having a ton of money. And the internet is the way to do that. And I spent every waking minute learning all I could learn about internet marketing, about conversion optimization and SEO and products and services. And as I was learning, I would try things. So every time I would read a blog or read a case study, I would actually give it a shot. And over time, I just started to get better and better. And, I built my first big successful company, in about 2012, quit my job, and, I haven't looked back since.
Wow. That is awesome. What was that first company?
That first company was a company called, it still is. It's called Maids in Black. And it's a home cleaning company. But the way I did it was I said, what would a home cleaning company look like if it was built by Uber? So, I built mobile apps around it. It made it very online oriented where you just charge a person's credit card and everything happens seamlessly online versus the traditional way those companies are built. And that was my first big company that I got over, $1 million a year.
Wow. Very, very cool. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions about that one, which is going to lead later on into our major discussion about identifying opportunities. But specifically for Maids in Black, how did you come up with the idea? What was it that triggered you that this might be something that the market needed?
For sure. So it's a funny story how it actually happened in my situation. I had started kind of messing around online, like I was telling you, and I kind of figured out how to put up websites and so on. And there was a lady that cleaned my home at the time. She had been cleaning my home for quite a few years, and we were really good friends. And so she came to me asking me if I could, build her a website. And I said, I could build you a website, but it will just sit there unless you have the knowledge of how to drive customers, how to figure out internet marketing, how to drive ads and so on. It would just be a waste of your money. So I proposed this idea of I build a website and, I do all the marketing and I handle all of that. And she handles the part that she's really good at, which is going out and do the work. And let's see if we can build a company. And so that was really how it started. And I put the website up on the Friday. We got the first job on the Friday. And I was able to quit my job in about 8 months. 8 months later, I was doing about $60,000 per month.
Wow.
Yeah, based on just internet marketing. And that's really how things kicked off for me.
That is incredible. So for that very first business, the kicker, the thing that kind of brought it to your attention was somebody who was already in business, and she had a problem. Her problem was not being able to connect with the customers that she wanted to connect with. And then it sounds like you had a set of skills that were separate from hers, where you guys could partner up. And you were able to form, you solved her problem while also solving the problem for the customer there. Really, really interesting.
No, absolutely. And what you just described has been the underpinning of every business I've built since. Is really about you find this space where there's already an existing business happening. This is already an existing industry. So a lot of people say, let me come up with a business idea, but I never build business idea type businesses. What we do instead is say, let's look at something that already exists. People are already spending multiple millions of dollars on this thing, but there is something broken in the space. There's something broken. Either there's not enough technology, the marketing isn't sophisticated enough, the branding isn't sophisticated enough, and there's all these opportunities for some person like me that has what I would consider, like good technology and good marketing and good branding, and we can go in and find a niche in that space and do really, really well, instead of coming up with some new idea where there's no competition. So I think it's a good idea. No, we want there to be tons of competition, and we want it to be a thriving industry, and we can go in and make our mark.
That is awesome. And so that rolls us kind of into that major part of the show that we're going to do today, which is, talking about that process, because what you just described. So for me, that was my biggest challenge when I first had my ideas of how I want to start my own business. I want to do this. I want to do that. It took me 9 months to just come up with the idea for this podcast, mainly because I was trying to think of something original. I was trying to think of something nobody had ever done before. But at the same time, I was also looking and trying to figure out, where are there groups of people on one side who are really trying to connect with groups of people on another side, and there's a chasm between them. Yes. I was looking for that spot where I could fill a gap between two groups of people who were begging to connect with each other. And so that really impressed me about a lot of your business models. So I know that you look for businesses that are in a space that's already got competition, but how do you identify your customer segments that you're going to be building this business for?
So yeah, I mean, that's a good question. And I think our answer for that may be a little bit unexpected, because the way how we work, I don't typically look at customer segments. So people say like, well, you started a cleaning service. Do you go after millennials? Do you go after, divorce, like single, stay-at-home moms? Like, who are you going after? And I typically am not looking at things that way. I'm typically saying, we're going to look at this large industry that has a very large customer base, and we're going to create an experience for people that are currently consuming this product or service, but we're going to make a better experience for them. And that way we don't really have to go super niche down. Like I don't have to say one particular segment of the market. We just create something that appeals to really a wide base of people that are looking for this particular thing. And the niche kind of creates itself. The people that are attracted to our brand would end up doing business with us. And that's kind of how we go forward.
Okay, doke. So, how do you identify kind of what's missing there then? When you've got, let's say, a market that's already very, it's very mature, right? How do you identify which technology is going to improve upon what's out there, or whether it needs to be an app, or I know you've got a company that's software as a service. How do you identify what new aspect is going to be the best one for you to be able to kind of improve upon what's out there?
Absolutely. Awesome question. And the answer for that is like 99% of the time, the improvements that you can make and that we make in an industry is on the top of the funnel, meaning the customer acquisition part and kind of the customer experience. So for example, if you look at Uber, I really like Uber as a really good example. If you look at Uber does the same thing as taxi services, right? They move you from one location to another location. But what they have done is they have layered over just a very thin layer of technology on top of that expected service. And that technology allows people to seamlessly pay for their service, to seamlessly rate their customer experience in real time, and to have a certain expectation on when that person is going to show up, and that they're going to show up on time, and that the car is going to be certain, like clean and so on. So that's what Uber does. And this is the exact same thing we do with our businesses. We look at these industries and say, there is an opportunity for a thin layer of technology. So if you're a cleaning service, you typically would call and the person will come out and do a quotation, and then they'll tell you, okay, I'll come back on this date. And it becomes really disjointed. For us, we say, you come to our website, you select exactly what you want, just like you're shopping on Amazon. You put out your credit card, we charge you seamlessly. You can use our app and see when we're showing up, and so on. And it's really the same thing. So in most of these very large industries, there is an opportunity for this thin layer of technology, and it's what we do every single time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So what kind of skills then, when you're talking about adding just a light or a thin layer of technology onto a process that exists already, what type of skills would a person need? Let's just say we got somebody in the audience who is really looking to move into that world of online businesses. What type of skills are they going to need to have? Or if they don't have the right skills, what kind of people are they going to want to partner with in order to build these technological solutions?
Yeah, so the amazing thing about right now is that a lot of these technological solutions exist already. So when I started, back in like 2010 or so, or maybe 2009, everything that I envisioned for what that thin layer of technology would be, I had to build it myself. And I had to go out and hire people on Upwork and so on. And that's still there, and you can still do that. But right now, we're living in this time where these things already exist. And like, so for example, you can use something like Launch 27, which is a company that I built, but there's all these other services that exist where you can, use off the shelf mobile apps, or use some technology that, you can then make that available to the current end user or the current business owner that you're coming in to help their business. And most of it, you no longer have to build from scratch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm trying to figure out how to ask this question. You've got on your website, you've got this thing you talk about, this 80-20 approach to building a successful business. Is that kind of really what you're talking about there? Is, only focusing on, the 20% of work that's going to get you 80% of the results as far as building a business? Or what does that mean when you talk about an 80-20 approach to building a successful business?
Yeah, so that 80-20 thing is something that really works in so many areas of life where, like, you kind of like start to look at where you allocate your resources. And for people that are entrepreneurs, there's only really two main resources. That's your money and your time. And we look to like be as stingy as possible with both of those things, our money and our time. And we want to apply them in a way where we're going to get like the biggest possible return for any investment of money and time. But it's really difficult to predict what that is going to be, like what that return is going to look like. And you'll find over time that about, like 80% of the effort that you put in, like you say you put in like 80% effort, you're going to like 20, like there's going to be 20% that is going to be left back, where you're going to have like this massive payoff. I mean, there's multiple ways to look at it, but the takeaway from that is you're going to have to, in most cases, build businesses multiple times. Like your first business being a big success is fairly unlikely. It's almost like the first person you date ends up being your husband or wife. It's fairly unlikely. You're going to have to go through a couple times, meet different people, get more experiences, get better, become a better person and so on. And that same thing connects with business. You got to go through a couple businesses. You're going to get better every single time. Some of them are going to fail, but you're going to learn. And then when the perfect opportunity presents itself, it's going to be like, this is your soulmate. You know what I mean? So I could ramble on a little bit about this, and I don't want to, but I think it's really important for people to know that, you can't, try to protect yourself from failure or from starting a business, because you don't really know what's going to hit. And chances are you're going to have to go multiple times before you get your first hit.
Awesome. And you just talked about there being stingy with your money, being stingy with your time. And that kind of leads me to the second part of this, where I wanted to talk about kind of testing your business ideas in the market. Because obviously it's not going to be super smart to just throw everything into it. I've got this great idea. It's only going to take a little bit more technology to do this. Let's go all in. Let's throw it out in the market. We'll see what happens. So what is your process once you've identified a potential opportunity? How do you test your idea before going all in and putting all your money and your time into building that business?
Oh man, that's like my favorite question, dude. Like you don't even know, because what you described is something that it's a mistake that I see a lot. People say, I have this idea. Let me quit my job. Let me, take all the money out of my 401k and my savings, and let me go all in. There's no way I live like that. Like for me, I want to like really manage risk as much as possible, because like business is really how you manage risk. I mean, how you allocate resources and how you manage risk. And so there's a couple things that we ask ourselves when we're going to start a business. And the questions are these. One, is this a product or service that people already want and need and love, and they're already spending tons of money on? Two, are there people that are selling this product or service and they are making millions? I don't want this person is making like an extra $500 a month. Can I point to some person making millions from this thing? So is this a big industry with a lot of money to be made? Three, can I get started with this thing with about 2 months or 3 months salary? I'm not mortgaging my house. I'm not doing any of that craziness. I'm being prudent and careful, but also moving decisively. So can I do this with about 2 to 3 months salary max? And 4, is there a pathway to me being able to get my first paying customer in 60 days, 30 to 60 days? I'm not going to build something where I expect to get a paying customer and it's going to take me 24 months or 36 months from now. No way. I want 1 month or 2 months. I have the first person who's a complete stranger come to my website, pull up their credit card, and pay me for something. And if those 3 things, the things that I've mentioned so far, are in place, we're going to give it a shot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So walk me back through those 4 again.
Mm-hmm.
What's the first one? Because I got 2, I got half of 3 written down, and I got 4 written down. So walk me through those one more time. What's the first one?
Yeah. So the first one is this something that people are already actively spending money on? So it's not an idea like, oh, I have this idea for a product or service. No. Is this something where people are already right now purchasing? So that's the first one.
Yep.
2, can I point to people that sell this thing that are making millions of dollars per year? I don't want something where I notice one guy and he may be making $500 a month or something from this. I want to know that there's some person that this thing is making millionaires. Whatever it is that you're selling. So it's a big industry and people are spending money on it continuously. That's what I want, right?
Yep.
And the third thing is how much it costs. Can I get started with 2 to 3 months of my salary? Not more than that. I'm not going to mortgage my home. I'm not going to sell my car. I'm not going to, empty my 401k. Nothing. None of that craziness. 2 to 3 months salary to get started. And 4, when I get started, can I go from 0 to the first paying customer in 30 to 60 days?
Yep. Golden.
So, yeah. And once we have those 4 things in place, we pretty much are comfortable to get going.
Okay. And then when you get going, is that a going all in thing, or are you building a minimum viable product before you go all in? Like, what's that next step once you've given it the go with these 4 criteria met?
Yeah.
How do you proceed there? How would a new entrepreneur who's listening out in the audience right now, how should they proceed? I guess would be my question.
Yeah. So the next step for us, and this is step number 1 that people often kind of put off. Our next step is a beautiful landing page. It's not a coming soon page. It's not a launch rocket page. It is a page where the home page looks like the end product. So everything else can be minimally viable product. Like your back end could be, Google spreadsheets or something, which I've done before. But your front end, your home page has to be something that looks like the end game. It looks like a business that already exists. It looks like it's lived in. It looks like you already have customers. It looks like you've been in business for, 3 years. That's the look that you're going for. And that's the first thing we do. Because then once we have that, we can then go out and reach out to suppliers for whatever that product or that service is. And those suppliers, they need to feel comfortable that you're going to do good by whatever product or service that you will be reselling on their behalf, right?
Okay.
And that's really what the world is. Like whatever you're selling is something that you got from somebody else. Either in manpower or actual product. And they need to feel comfortable. And the way that they feel comfortable is by that homepage. It has to be amazing. And then after that, you go out, you find your suppliers, you connect with them. Once you connect with them and you have your first product or service available to sell, then from there on, we just spend as much time as possible driving as much traffic as possible to the the website and having a way for people to pull out their credit card and make a purchase. So real quick story on that. Like when I started Inclusive, what we did is we built a landing page, a home page that looks like a legitimate company even before we had our first home on the platform.
Mm-hmm.
But because it looked so legitimate, we were then able to reach out to property managers and say, hey, this is what we're building. And, it's a company that I think is going to be amazing. We would love to invite you onto the platform, and we would love to work with you to list your properties. We have some really cool people that are going to be traveling, and let's partner up. And we had nothing except a really good website that looked professional. Without that, we would never have been able to get going.
Yeah. Wow. And how long did it take to, specifically with Inclusive, how long did it take from concept to first paying customer with that platform?
Concept to first paying customer was longer than our 60 days because it's a much bigger project.
Oh yeah, huge project.
So yeah, it was a huge project. So I want to say it was about 5 months before we had our first. That's not bad at all. Yeah, it wasn't terrible. We kind of attacked it in a way where we used some things off the shelf as much as possible to get going, and then we went back and built our own platform, and then that's how we were able to get going in such a short period of time.
That is awesome. And just I'm not sure if too many people out in the audience are familiar with your story when it comes to why you built Inclusive. I know, I've gone to the website and I've read through, your whole story about trying to go to Idaho and everything like that, which, it was just crazy. But yeah, talk a little bit about that too, because, obviously the folks who are out in my audience, it's very likely that if they're starting a business, it may be around something that can help solve a problem specifically for the Black community or people of color, and they may run into similar situations. So what was your inspiration? Talk to us about that story that led you to start Inclusive.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad you asked that question. Yeah, I have a business Facebook group. It's probably like 11,000 people. It's called Groove Learning. And in that Facebook group, I connected with all these other entrepreneurs, and I met this really awesome lady. She's a business owner, and she would always invite me up to Idaho. And I'm like, Idaho for vacation? I don't see it. I don't see it happening. And then, but we remained friends for a while. And then, July 4th, 2 years ago, she was like, man, you should really come. It's going to be so much fun. And just on a whim, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go on Airbnb, get me a property, and head up to Idaho and just see something that I would never have otherwise experienced. And that's what I did. I tried to book on Airbnb, and I was told that, the property was not available. And then I was like, well, I work for myself. I can go anytime. I then tried to find some other dates that were available, and I applied for those dates as well. And I was told that those were not available either. And so I felt like something was weird because I had just read a story about a guy on Airbnb, a Black guy that went through the same thing. And what he did was he had one of his white friends request the same dates that he was denied for, and they were accepted right away. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do the same thing. So I had one of my friends who happens to be white request those same dates I was denied for. And they were literally instantly approved.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes, instantly approved. I reached out to Airbnb, told them the story, and what made me build Inclusive was the response I got from Airbnb. It was one where it was, dismissive. They, excuses. Oh, it's probably not what you think. And, oh, well, we'll get back to you. And they never responded. They never got back to me. And I understand the internet very well. This is what I do for a living. So I wrote, a couple articles, posted them, and they went viral. I woke up to probably 2,000 emails, got interviewed on Fox and NBC and Huffington Post and NPR. And the day it went viral, the next day, Airbnb finally called me.
Of course.
And, at that point, it was too late in my mind. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it stinks that situations like that happen and become the sparks to start a business. It would be much better if we just didn't live in a world where people can hide behind stuff like that, right? We are told that racism's over and we're in a post-racial society and look at all the laws and the way people are treated. But then a new industry pops up where people get anonymity and they get kind of the ability to show their racism again because it's not regulated yet. And next thing you know, it's like, yep, racism's still here. People are still
Yes.
crappy.
Yes. The only thing that has changed is the method of delivering that racism.
Yeah, absolutely. But when it pops its head up, I mean, that's why we have to be savvy, like you are. We got to have people who understand, you know, wherever you see a group of people who are underserved or not being served properly by the businesses that exist, that's a business
Mm-hmm.
opportunity. You know, you just got to
Mm-hmm.
be the type of person who can step in and make it happen.
Yes, yes, absolutely, for sure. There's a ton more of these opportunities out there. And something I want to say really quickly that because these opportunities are out there, we have to be like prepared for them. So my preparation was the fact that I had built other businesses in the past,
Mm-hmm.
so I kind of knew how I could attack this. So for people that are listening, your preparation for whatever those opportunities are that will arise is to get building something. Because by the time that opportunity comes up, you want to be in the right place. You want to be, I guess like physically fit for the marathon that's going to take to build a business like that, and have the tools already in your tool set. So, and you want to get there by getting started on something, even if it's something really, really small. Because when that big thing comes, you will be prepared.
Wonderful, wonderful. I really appreciate that. So going into the next part here, you do your litmus test of the 4 pieces, and then once you've got to go and say we're going to pursue this, you build your beautiful landing page, which is what you use to contact suppliers and what you use to kind of impress folks when they first come to take a look at the business. Once you get rolling, then you can build in your own back end, and that's kind of the piece that I want to hit last is how do you scale, and what's the difference between scaling an internet-based business as opposed to scaling a traditional brick and mortar business? What are the advantages and disadvantages of that?
So I mean, I'll answer. I'll talk about scaling in a second. For businesses that are brick and mortar, there's some things that you can do, but if it's not like if you own a brick and mortar business, like you definitely are a local business where you want to become like the local king or queen of whatever that product is in your neighborhood. And that would mean like, doing all these interviews, like even the interview that I'm having now with local bloggers and having them do contests on your behalf and competitions and going out and partnering with restaurants. I mean, it really depends on your product, but you just become a local king. Scaling online is easier in my estimation. Scaling online is easier because online, there's all this traffic that's waiting to be picked up, especially on social media. If your product or service is one that people connect with in a way that they would connect with it on social media. So on social media, you have Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Twitter, if the product is something well, actually, Instagram, if the product is something that's very visual, that is visually appealing, and you can connect with influencers and so on, that works very, very, very well. There's also YouTube if your product is something that requires some type of explanation, or they can wear it and show their audience and so on. There's YouTube. And then, of course, there's Twitter, which is my favorite one because Twitter allows you to find trends that are already there, and you can just tag on to that existing trend. So, for example, with Inclusive, one of the trends was Airbnb while Black hashtag. And then, so that hashtag is already there. Thousands and thousands of people are already consuming content on that hashtag. And all we need to do is add our name to the discussion. So Twitter is like my favorite, for driving traffic. And then, of course, there's paid traffic, Facebook, ads and Instagram ads and Twitter ads as well. But, a lot of scaling right now is social media.
Wow. All right. We're going to go backwards like 2.5 seconds because that one platform that I hate it with all of my fiber and being because I've never been able to understand how it works. It just seems like a big old place where people troll each other, and so I avoid it. But it sounds like you have got the unlock code for Twitter. So can you talk to me a little bit more in detail about how does that work? How do you add your name to the conversation of a hashtag that's already, big? How do you tell if it's a big hashtag? Like how do you use that platform?
No, I got you. So Twitter is a couple things. I mean, one, the first thing you want to do is look at what's trending for the day. And on Twitter proper, if you go on Twitter's website, it will only probably show you the first 10. But if you go on mobile, it will show you the first 30 or 40 or so. So these are the 40 hashtags that are being talked about online right now. And I would go through that list and find something that either speaks to your product or service. And if it does not speak to your product or service directly, you can find a way to twist it into your product or service. So, for example, right now, the biggest thing that's going probably, I mean, not right this minute, but one of the most popular things right now is the royal wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, man, if you are some person that is, of course, selling wedding products and wedding planning and flowers and so on, that's like a no-brainer, right? But you could be some person that's selling hair, selling like hair weaves and hair extensions and so on, selling makeup, selling clothes. And you can inject yourself into that royal wedding conversation by putting out memes, by running contests on there, by doing discounts for people, for posting images of themselves wearing your product, and you hashtag the royal wedding, and so on. There's a million ways that you can be part of those conversations on Twitter. Another thing that we do that's really important is we use Twitter Advanced Search. So, say you own a home cleaning business and some person on Twitter is saying, oh, I need to do laundry. You can go on Twitter and do advanced search for every person that mentions the word laundry in your within 50 miles of your city. And you find all those people. These are people that are potential customers. And you can then, either say, hey, you're looking to do laundry. Here's a discount code for Twitter users, and we would love to take care of it for you. Spend the rest of your day relaxing while we take care of it. And so you can do that across every single industry imaginable, Twitter Advanced Search. And there's a couple other techniques as well, but Twitter is the king for me, I think, for driving traffic to most websites. And if it's something visual, Instagram would be the queen, I guess.
Got it.
Yeah.
Oh man. So that's really interesting. So you recommend just kind of really starting a conversation with people, not like, oh, here's the hashtag, let me post a link to some content that I have that's associated with that hashtag, or do you want to do that as well?
I mean, you can do that as well, but I'll say this. The better your content, and if you can, and this is another case where the 80-20 rule works really well. In 80% of your posts, you don't post a link, don't sell, just be part of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Crack jokes, post memes, be part of the conversation for the culture, be cool. The other 20% of your posts, you can then, because you have established these relationships, you can then say, hey, while you're here, check this out. Or, hey, Inclusive is heading to the UK, like the royal wedding is the biggest thing. Well, we have a group trip going to London. Or here's some properties in London that are, of the Buckingham Palace or whatever. So you can insert some of those as well. But you want to be a part of the conversation organically, probably 80% of the time versus selling the other 20%.
Got it.
Yeah.
That is awesome, man. I don't want to force you into divulging everything you have in your brain. You said so many really, really important things. You started off earlier talking about how you dug into learning about internet marketing, conversion optimization, and SEO. That was like the first thing you did when you started trying to see your way out of the corporate world.
Yes.
Would you mind just quickly talking to the folks about those three concepts and kind of what on a overview level people need to know about internet marketing, conversion optimization, SEO, and where they could likely go to try to find great information that's going to help them to learn even more about those things to start their businesses?
For sure. And those are the things that you're going to need, at least internet marketing is in general. And that is really the concept of you have never met this person. They come to your website and you make them feel comfortable enough to pull out their credit card and give you their credit card number. So think about that process, right? Like that is a challenge. Now, if it's some person that you know, it's a lot easier because they trust you. So internet marketing in many ways is just your ability to take what would be real world trust and create that trust online in kind of a virtual way. And I'll talk about that for like 30 more seconds because it's really, really important. People don't buy from you unless they trust you. And without them being able to see you and touch you in person, there's all these things that you have to do to make them feel comfortable enough to trust you. So one, you can say, this website was like, here is the media that talks about inclusive. So we were mentioning NPR and Huffington Post and so on. So we look more legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
Here's our guarantee. So if something goes wrong, we give you like 100% guarantee. No matter what, we're going to take care of you. So that trust, that instills some more trust. Here are some smiling faces of our customers that have used our service already and they love us. And here's their actual pictures. So people connect with human faces. So we make sure that if you look on inclusive, you'll probably see like 25 human faces on the homepage. That's very, very important and very, very, we do that on purpose. It's not an accident, right? So that's 3. 4, if you use your credit card, no matter what, if your card is stolen or whatever, like we take responsibility. So people know that they can trust us. If things go wrong, we will be there. If things go right, we will be there. And there's a couple other ways, but you have to make sure that as you're building your website, you're thinking about internet marketing, what you're really thinking about is how do I instill trust in a person that has never met me to the point that they will reach in their bag or their pocket and give me their credit card numbers. That's the entire goal of internet marketing. There's a lot that goes into it, but that has to be like the orientation as you're thinking about becoming an entrepreneur online.
Golden. Okie doke. And what about conversion or search engine optimization versus conversion optimization? Talk to us about that.
Yep, absolutely. So search engine optimization is just this. You go on Google and you put in, like 14-inch hair extensions. That's something that you're looking to purchase or whatever you're looking to purchase. Google is going to return 10 results on their homepage. And search engine optimization is the goal of having your website be one of those results. Because like if it's on the second page, it could as well not exist, right? Mm-hmm. So it has to be on the first page. And there's some things that you have to do. You make sure that those keywords are listed on your website. And more importantly, you get other websites to link to you in the context of those keywords. So you have like bloggers talking about your product. You have people on Instagram talking about your product. You have YouTubers talking about your product. They all link back to your product within the context of hair extensions or whatever that is. And that is how you are able to, over time, rank on Google for those keywords. It's something that is really probably the only zero-sum game in marketing, meaning that only one person can be number one. So you're actually like competing with other people, but there is a process and it can be done. Conversion optimization, on the other hand, is really this. If you have 100 people come to your website and three of those people make a purchase, you have a 3% conversion rate. 3 out of every 100 people purchase from you. Conversion optimization is saying, okay, how can I get that number from 3 to 6 without doing anything else? I'm not changing anything except I'm changing the website so that I can get more people buying from me, based on the same number of people landing on my website. And those are, some things that you have to kind of spend some time learning. There's a really good blog called conversionxl.com that if you read those articles, you would end up being really, really, really good. And of course, you have to put it into practice.
Conversionxl.com. Got it.
Conversionxl.com. Mm-hmm.
Golden. All right, man. This is it's definitely going to make me a lot better at marketing the businesses and this podcast platform that I have. Before we move into the last questions I have for you, is there anything else? Is there any burning thing that you feel like the audience really needs to know before we roll into the last segment of the show?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say this real quickly. Like, I feel like 95% of success as an entrepreneur is related to your mindset. And so, we haven't really talked about that much, but it's really related to your mindset. How you deal with uncertainty, how you make decisions in general, and how you manage fear. Those are probably like the 3 most important things. And if you can kind of find a way to be as objective as possible as you're appraising different opportunities and managing the fear that is there, that, I still have it. I'm not one of those people that is like, I'm like Mr. Courageous and I just go do it. Every single move I make it in the atmosphere of being afraid. I'm still afraid, even though I've done it so often. But how you're able to push past that fear and take an action, that's really like that's where everything happens. So it's so important, but that would take an entire whole podcast to go through.
Awesome. That's good. That is perfect. So with that, I want to move into the last segment of the show. The last 3 or 4 questions I have for you. The first one is going to be, what is the biggest challenge that you have ever faced, and how did you overcome it, or what did you learn from it?
So the biggest challenge. We've had some good challenges over the years. I think a big one was yeah. So when I started, my first business that I was talking about, like the online home cleaning service, I started that business while I had a full-time job. And so people are always like, can you do a business where you have a full-time job? Yeah, you can, but because your business is going to take up as much time as your full-time job anyhow, you suddenly have 2 jobs. And I had 2 jobs, and I was going through the difficulty of, I was just coming off of a layoff, and I almost lost my home. Like, things were really, really, really bad. And I feel like, how I was able to get through that period of time was just to be really, really single-minded. Like, I did not go out. People thought I had moved. And I just worked as aggressively as possible. Like, my life depended on it, on my business. Mm-hmm. And, it was really a tough time for a lot of people. It was a downturn in the economy. The real estate market had busted. All this stuff went wrong. My house was underwater. And, it was just a tough time. But I feel like for people that are going through things like that, right now, I know a lot of people are, all I can say is try to be as creative as possible and try to work as aggressively as possible towards your goals. And things eventually worked out for me.
Awesome. So the next question I have, I'm going to alter it up a little bit. It normally just would be, what's the next thing you have coming up and how can we help support you? But I want to give you an opportunity here to talk more about Launch 27 and Groove Learning, because I think that's an offering that you have that fits right along with what we talked about today and what some folks out in the audience would probably be able to benefit from. So, you want to spend a little bit of time talking about that?
Yeah, sure. So, I appreciate that. So Launch 27 is a software company that I built that allows people to start and manage local service businesses. And by local service businesses, I mean lawn care companies, home cleaning companies, move-in services, all these services that are multi-million dollar industries right in your neighborhood. And so people use the software to manage the entire thing and to set up their websites and to take credit cards and the whole deal. And we have probably, quite a few people on there, that are doing really, really, really well. And I feel like local services is one of the most predictable ways of, building businesses. My local service business, we've done well over $10 million in the last, 4.5 years. And that's because we're able to bring in the thin layer of technology that Launch 27 brings and apply it across multiple industries. So if you're some person that you're looking to start a business, you don't know where to start, I think it would be cool to definitely check out Launch 27. Also check out the Launch 27 Facebook group, and then we have something called overthinkacademy.com, where we kind of have all these courses and so on for people to just follow us step by step as we're building businesses, and people can follow along and do the same thing in their lives.
Awesome. And you know what? I like that. It makes me really excited because that's one thing that a lot of people don't realize how easy it is to start a local side hustle that doesn't take them away from their job. I did an episode really early on in the show. It's like 15 businesses you can start tomorrow. And it was simple things like, a local dog walking business or, a local, car detailing business, things like that. And so it sounds like, those types of really easy to start businesses, but hard to market, businesses. You're creating a platform that's going to help them to manage that marketing side of it and the tracking side of it. Is that basically it?
Yes, it's the marketing side of it. And you're absolutely right about how there's so many opportunities in local space. So your website, your booking form, so people can book with you instantly, your credit card processing, so people can charge their credit cards, the schedule and your team, allocation. There's a mobile app extra that clients can use to see, to see that you're on your way and so on. So we pretty much created something that would be what Uber would look like, and you can then apply that to any local service that's still stuck in the old school and have like all these competitive advantages.
That is incredible. That is awesome. So the next to last question I have for you've delivered so much information to us on this show. How can people find you? How can they get in touch with you? How can they connect with the many products and services that you provide?
Thank you. They can reach me at, my email is really good. Rohan@inclusive.com. Inclusive is 2 N's. Also, twitter.com, Rohan Jilts, and, facebook.com, Rohan Jilts. And then I spend, a lot of time in the Groove Learning Facebook group and the Overthink Academy Facebook group as well.
Groove Learning. I'm just taking notes here.
No problem.
FB. And what was the other one? Groove Learning Facebook group, and which one?
And Overthink Academy Facebook group.
Overthink Academy.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, Rohan, thank you so much for joining me today. I have but one final question for you. It is the famous last question of Buy Black Podcast. What is your number one piece of advice for the listening community as a whole?
So my number one piece of advice for the listening community is to consider having to take a journey, and it would be like a 30-second story. If you had to take a journey from New York City to Vegas or something like that, you will have to do certain things. And there's two types of people. You have a person A. Person A is going to walk to their garage or their car, get in and start to drive to Vegas. Person B is going to say, okay, let me go double check the tires. Let me go double check the oil. Let me choose what music I'm going to listen to. Let me map out every single scenario and every single eventuality. Let me pre-plan everything. And person B, by going through that process, they are very likely not to get started at all. And it's just something that we do. We kind of talk ourselves out of opportunities. So for me, I want to be as close as possible to person A. I want to be the person that is getting into the car and starting to drive. If I run out of gas, I'll stop at the gas station and get gas. If I run out of food, I'll figure it out and along the way. And you're going to get much more done in life if you just get moving. You can plan forever, and the deeper you're planning, the more likely you're going to find a way to convince yourself not to take action. And that's it.
Wow. That is golden, man. Well, I've got to say, I was extremely excited when I saw the email come in from you. Like I said, I'd been following you for quite a while, and so I was very honored that you were listening to the show, that you reached out to be on the show, and now I'm so grateful for everything that you brought and you shared with us today. Any final thoughts before we get out of here for this number 41 episode of Buy Black?
My final thought would be, first off, thanks a lot for having me. And I think like what you're doing, and I want to say what you're doing is amazing. You have created a platform for people to tell their stories, but more so for a lot of people to see that this stuff is possible, and for people to be inspired, and for people to improve their lives. Like what you're doing is amazing, man, and the world should know. So thanks a lot for having me on here.
I appreciate it so much. Well, hey, everybody, that is it. You guys have got everything from us in episode number 41. We are out of here.
All right, bye.